Hey, John here. If you have trouble with string crossings when it comes to your alternate picking and also getting a clean sound when you play arpeggios in general, whether it's with sweep picking or alternate picking, this warm-up routine can really help you out. It's a very systematic exercise, so it doesn't sound nice necessarily, but if you focus on the actual quality of your technique, meaning the tone and how relaxed you are, you can get a lot out of this one. And also, in its systematic nature, you won't be able to find your preferred fingerings. You kind of have to do them all, and that will absolutely develop your technique to its full potential. Another thing here, we're going to be using the transition time technique, and I'm going to talk about that later in this video. So the exercise goes like this. We're going to divide the left hand into groups of 3. So we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to play that up and down the strings like this in groups of 3. So we're going to basically restart on each string group. So when you do the full routine, which will take you 10 minutes if you keep to the tempo of quarter notes at 100, and I highly suggest that you do that. As I mentioned in the intro, we're going to be using transition time. If you're not familiar with transition time, you have a link below for that video. But when you do the full routine, you want to start at the first fret, and then you do everything here once, and then you start it again with an upstroke. And then you move up to the 5th fret, do everything starting with a downstroke, then everything with an upstroke. And each run through at 100 BPMs will take you about a minute. So it's 2 minutes per position, and we're gonna have 5 different positions because we're gonna cover the neck like this. 1 through 4, 5 through 8, 9 through 12, 13 through 16, 17 through 20. You can do it up here if you want, but I usually go up here. So if you feel like it, absolutely go up here as well. Just know that it's going to be slightly more annoying, and you might even have to lower the tempo a bit when you do that. But I think you'll get a lot out of it just going up to the 17th fret anyway. So I'm going to leave that up to you. But the whole routine then goes like this. I'm going to show it here on the 9th fret. We start with 1, 2, 3. Alternate pick that, so down, up, down. And then we're gonna start the next string group from the 8th string, up, down, up. So we got, and then we'll repeat that from the D string, that's gonna be a downstroke. And then finally we have an upstroke on the G string. And when we get that high, we're gonna turn it around and go down this way instead. Right, so if we put that in full. And what we're looking for here, especially when we do it with the metronome, is that quick transition from note to note. Right, so try to have the least amount of gaps in between each note. So hold the note for its full value, and then you have to move quickly to the next one. So and once you've done 1, 2, 3, you go straight into 1, 2, 4. Straight into 1, 3, 4. And finally 2, 3, 4. And as usual, the goal here is to be totally relaxed, have everything sound as good as possible, but also, since we're using transition time, really focusing on that fast instead of that kind of deal. So that's super important when you do this. So once you've done that in one position, you start that position over again, and now we're going to start with an upstroke instead. So you go up, down, up, down. So everything remains the same order. All the fingers. And as you can see here, I did not play at quarter notes at 100, but when I do practice this myself, I really do that because doing that will enable me to move as quickly as I possibly can from note to note, and that will give me a much better technique gain in the long run, and also it really improves the synchronization a lot. So if you haven't tried that practice technique, I highly recommend it. And like I said, I have a video all about that practice technique available in the description below. But don't forget about starting with an upstroke because it really does feel different. And like I said, you do this then twice in each position. We have 5 positions or 6 if you want, if you're brave, which means you will have a 10 to a 12 minute workout or warm up. But it's a really effective exercise to get your string crossing down, but also will help you with your arpeggios because you really learn to avoid that stuff. So you can really switch cleanly when you move around the fretboard. And it sort of goes into other techniques as well, meaning what you gain from getting this type of exercise clean, because guitar is always connected, right? So you can't really be super sloppy on one technique and then expect to be super clean on another one. So it's really important to pay attention when you practice. So it might be trickier than you think to really get this clean while doing it in, as much in time as possible. So quite a challenge actually. And if you really listen to the details, and that's what you should do. So it becomes almost like a meditation when you do this correctly. So I highly suggest you try this, and these type of, not so nice sounding exercises, I really like them because you can focus on the technique at hand, without having to think about specific scale shapes and stuff like that. And the technique you develop here will transfer to that, all the scales and arpeggios that you're learning. So when you're improvising, you're not going to be stuck with set patterns already, but you have the technique, so you can choose the notes that you want to choose, instead of being programmed by always doing a certain sequence all the time. I think sequences are great as well as a means to learning the scales, but it can become quite stale in your improvisations, especially if you stick to long, very predictable sounding sequences. So developing your technique in this way can really be helpful in that regard. Back in the day, I used to have real issues with fast alternate picking when it came to 2 notes per string. I was fine with 3 notes per string, but the 2 notes per string thing was a bit harder to crack. So if you struggle with fast alternate picking as well, and you don't know what to practice or for how long, I've created the perfect solution for you in the form of the Pentatonic Picking Power Book. So in this book, you'll find a daily workout that will not only help your pentatonic picking, but will also upgrade your overall alternate picking technique. So it contains basically the same exercises I use myself to develop my picking abilities, as well as numerous students over the years that I've given the same exercise to with great results. So I know these exercises work as long as you put in the work. So it's not a quick solution or quick fix. It will still take a lot of work, but at least you have a very easy to follow routine. So if you're up for a big alternate picking upgrade in 2024, I cannot think of a better start. It's $9 and I think it's very underpriced, but I did it that way just so as many people as possible could be helped by this. So check that out.